Welcome back, basketball fans, to another massive, deeply analytical, and absolutely crucial episode here on the channel. Today, we are diving headfirst into a topic that has sent absolute shockwaves to the Philippine basketball community. The headlines are screaming, the forums are blazing, and the entire nation of the Philippines, a country where basketball is not just a passing hobby, but a bona fide religion, a way of life that dictates the rhythm of the streets from the bustling concrete courts of Metro Manila to the makeshift wooden backboards in the most remote provinces, is holding its collective breath. The breaking news and swirling rumors that the International Basketball Federation, commonly known as FIBA, might be pushing for the replacement of certain Gilas Pilipinas players has sparked a firestorm of speculation, passionate debate, and undeniable anxiety among the millions of fans who bleed blue, red, and yellow. We are looking at a potential massive shakeup in the Gilas Pilipinas Final 12, a highly coveted roster that legendary head coach Tim Cone has been meticulously, painstakingly building, adjusting, and refining for the grueling international battles ahead. This is not just about a simple roster tweak. This is about the very identity, the chemistry, and strategic foundation of the national team as they navigate the treacherous and highly competitive journey toward the upcoming FIBA Asia Cup windows, the Olympic qualifying tournaments, and ultimately, the grand stage of the 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup. To truly understand the magnitude of the situation, we have to look back at the historical context of Philippine basketball on the world stage. For decades, the Philippines has fought tooth and nail to reclaim its former glory, to stand toe-to-toe with the titans of world basketball. We have seen eras defined by sheer heart, the legendary Puso mantra that carried undersized and outgunned Filipino squads to miraculous victories and heartbreaking, down to the wire defeats against global powerhouses. We have witnessed the evolution of the program, from the early days of the Northern Cement Corporation team, through the various iterations of Team Pilipinas, all the way to the modern Gilas Pilipinas era managed by the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas. Every single time a player puts on that jersey with Pilipinas emblazoned across the chest, they are carrying the hopes, the dreams, and the immense, sometimes crushing expectations of over 100 million Filipinos. Therefore, the selection of the Final 12 is never taken lightly. It is a process heavily scrutinized by analysts, former players, and fans alike. When news breaks that FIBA regulations, eligibility technicalities, or logistical hurdles might force the coaching staff to replace players who have sweated, bled, and sacrificed the national cause, it strikes a deeply emotional chord. We are talking about the notoriously complex FIBA eligibility rules, specifically the strict guidelines regarding passports acquired before the age of 16, the stringent limitations on naturalized players where a team is only allowed one spot, and the complex paperwork required to prove local heritage. These bureaucratic hurdles have historically been the greatest adversary of the Philippine national team, often sidelining incredibly talented players of Filipino descent who desperately want to represent their motherland but are blocked by red tape. When you hear a title like, FIBA wants to replace other Gilas players, it immediately brings back the ghosts of tournaments past. It reminds us of the times we had to sit and watch helplessly as our best players were deemed ineligible on mere technicalities, forcing last-minute roster changes that disrupted months of training camp chemistry and tactical preparation. This current predicament requires us to look at the grand chessboard of international basketball. Coach Tim Cone is not just assembling a group of the most talented individual scorers. He is trying to build a cohesive, defensive-minded, highly intelligent basketball machine capable of executing complex offensive sets and locking down the dynamic, high-scoring offenses of teams like Australia, New Zealand, Lebanon, and Jordan. If forced replacements happen, it means tearing out a page of the playbook and starting from scratch with a new piece that may not fit the puzzle perfectly. The gravity of this situation cannot be overstated. We are standing at a critical juncture for the Gilas program. The momentum built from the Asian Games gold medal run and the spectacular undefeated windows in the Asia Cup qualifiers is a precious commodity. It represents a newfound confidence, a belief that the Philippines is no longer just a participant on the world stage, but a legitimate threat, a team that executes with precision and defends with absolute ferocity. Any disruption to the roster composition threatens to derail this momentum. Therefore, today, we are going to do something unprecedented. We are going to conduct the ultimate, most comprehensive deep dive imaginable into the Gilas Pilipinas roster situation. We will dissect the rumors, We will break down the complex FIBA rules that govern these roster changes. And most importantly, we will definitively lay out exactly who should be in the Gilas Pilipinas Final 12. We're going to evaluate the talent pool, the veterans who provide the essential leadership, the rising stars who bring boundless energy, and the tactical necessities that Coach Tim Cohn absolutely must have to execute his vision. We will look at the injury reports, the availability of our international imports playing the Japan B League and the Korean Basketball League, and the domestic stars dominating the Philippine Basketball Association. So, grab a drink, settle in, and prepare for a masterclass in Philippine basketball analysis, because this is a definitive breakdown of the Gilas Pilipinas roster dilemma. Before we construct our perfect Final 12, we must first confront the reality of why replacements are even being discussed. The phrase FIBA wants to replace is often a simplification of a much more complex bureaucratic reality. FIBA, as the global governing body of basketball, strictly enforces its eligibility rules to maintain a level playing field. The most contentious of these rules for the Philippines has always been Article 3, Paragraph 21, often referred to colloquially as the Hagot Rule. This rule stipulates that a player holding dual nationality must have acquired the passport of the country they wish to represent before their 16th birthday to be considered a local player. For a nation like the Philippines, which has a massive global diaspora with millions of Filipinos living, working, and raising families in the United States, Europe, and Australia, this rule has been a massive stumbling block. We have seen incredibly talented players with undeniable Filipino bloodlines categorized as naturalized players simply because they secured their Philippine passports at age 17 or 18. This brings us to the naturalized player quota. FIBA allows only one naturalized player per roster. This creates a brutal bottleneck for Gilas Pilipinas. You have phenomenal talents, world-class scorers, and dominant big men, but you can only choose one. When FIBA flags a player's documentation, or when a player's status is challenged, it forces the SBP to scramble. Furthermore, replacements are heavily driven by the brutal reality of injuries and the grueling schedules of professional leagues. The modern Gilas players often juggling their commitments to the national team with their obligations to their mother clubs in the PBA, the B League in Japan, or the KBL in Korea. Wear and tear are inevitable. We have seen mainstays like AJ Edu battle severe knee injuries, Kai Sato deal with back spasms and ACL recovery, and veterans step away due to the sheer physical toll. When a core player goes down, the replacement isn't just about finding someone with similar height. It's about finding someone who understands the complex defensive rotations, who knows the timing of the offensive cuts, and who can seamlessly integrate into a brotherhood that has been forged through months of grueling practices. Coach Tim Cohn's system specifically demands high IQ basketball. He relies heavily on the principles of the triangle offense, blended with modern pace and space concepts, requiring players who can read the floor, make split-second decisions, and execute fundamental passes. You cannot simply plug and play a random scorer into this system. If a player is deemed ineligible by FIBA or sidelined by injury, the replacement must be a calculated, strategic choice. The recent retirement of Japeth Aguilar from national team duties, for instance, leaves a massive void in terms of veteran leadership, rim protection, and vertical spacing. Finding a replacement for that specific skill set and locker room presence is a monumental task. This is the context in which we must view any news of roster changes. It is a delicate balancing act of managing FIBA regulations, player health, club commitments, and tactical fit. Now, let's transition into the most critical part of this analysis. If we are to look at the landscape of Philippine basketball today, navigating through the injuries, the availabilities, and the tactical demands of competing against the world's best, who are the players that absolutely, unequivocally must be in the Gilas Pilipinas Final 12? We will build this roster from the ground up, starting with the foundational pieces, the naturalized anchor, the floor generals, the versatile wings, and the guardians of the paint. There is no debate here. Justin Brownlee is the heart, the soul, and the ultimate clutch weapon of Gilas Pilipinas. Operating as our designated naturalized player, Brownlee has transcended the typical role of a hired gun. He has become an adopted son of the Philippines. His performance in the Asian Games, specifically that miraculous, logic-defying comeback against China, cemented his legacy forever. But beyond the heroics, Brownlee brings a calming presence to the floor. In international basketball, where the physicality is intense and the pressure is suffocating, you need a player who does not panic. Brownlee's ability to create his own shot at the end of a broken possession, his willingness to share the ball and operate within Coach Cohn's system, and his surprisingly effective team defense make him indispensable. He is the ultimate safety valve. When the offense stalls, you give the ball to Justin and let him work. While there are always conversations about bringing in younger naturalized players or utilizing NBA talent like Jordan Clarkson for the specific chemistry and systemic execution that Tim Cohn desires right now, Justin Brownlee is the undisputed number one name on the final roster. If you look up the definition of consistency and reliability in the Gilas dictionary, you'll find a picture of Dwight Ramos. He has been the absolute Iron Man of the national team, answering the call for virtually every single qualifying window regardless of where he is playing professionally. Ramos is the prototype of the modern international guard. At 6'4" with a strong, wide frame, he has the size to bully opposing point guards and the quickness to stay with athletic wingmen. His game is not flashy, but it is devastatingly effective. He is a phenomenal positional defender. He rebounds exceptionally well for his position, and his perimeter shooting has become a legitimate weapon. More importantly, Ramos plays with a stoic, relentless demeanor. He does not get rattled by hostile crowds or aggressive defensive schemes. He is a connective tissue of the starting lineup, capable of playing the 1, 2, or 3 seamlessly, allowing Coach Cohn to deploy massive, switchable lineups that can stifle opponents defensively. You cannot discuss the identity of this current Gilas squad without talking about the reigning PBA MVP, Scottie Thompson. Thompson represents the absolute epitome of Filipino basketball heart. Standing at barely 6'1", he routinely out-rebounds 7-footers through sheer will, impeccable timing, and a relentless motor that simply never stops running. In the international game, where every single possession matters and extra possessions are like gold dust, Thompson's offensive rebounding is a game-changing skill. But he is far more than just a hustle player. Under Tim Cohn at Barangay Ginebra and now with the national team, Thompson has developed into a highly cerebral point guard. He pushes the pace brilliantly, finds shooters in transition, and executes half-court sets with precision. While his outside shooting is often cited as a weakness by international scouting reports, his ability to penetrate the defense, collapse the paint, and kick out open shooters more than makes up for it. Scottie Thompson is the engine that drives the pace and emotional intensity of Gilas Pilipinas. Despite the changing landscape of basketball moving towards pace and space, there is still immense value in having an unstoppable force in the paint, and Junmar Fajardo remains exactly that. The multi-time PBA MVP provides a unique dimension to the Gilas offense that very few teams in Asia can counter. When you dump the ball down low to Junmar, you are forcing the opposing defense to make an impossible choice. Play him single coverage and risk him overpowering his defender for a high percent shot, or double-team him and leave elite shooters wide open on the perimeter. Fajardo's presence demands immense respect. Furthermore, his veteran leadership is invaluable. He has been through the wars, from the heartbreak of the 2014 World Cup to the triumphs of the Asian Games. With the retirement of Japheth Aguilar, Fajardo's role as the elder statesman of the big men is more critical than ever. He is the bedrock of the front court, providing high-quality screens, dominant rebounding, and a reliable scoring option when the game slows down into a half-court grind. International basketball is heavily guard-oriented. When you face teams like Australia or New Zealand, you're going up against quick, physical, and highly skilled perimeter players. You need a designated lockdown defender, a player whose sole mission is to make the opposing team's best guard miserable. That player is Chris Newsom. Newsom is an elite athlete with spectacular lateral quickness, strong hands, and a high defensive IQ. He navigates screens beautifully, stays attached to his man, and applies relentless ball pressure without unnecessary fouling. Offensively, he has evolved into a highly capable playmaker and a confident mid-range shooter. He does not need the ball in his hands to be effective, which makes him the perfect complementary piece alongside ball-dominant players like Brownlee or Thompson. Newsom is the unsung hero, the guy who does the dirty work, diving for loose balls, taking charges, and setting the physical tone for the entire team. Every great team needs a player who can instantly change the tempo of a game, a player who can come off the bench and inject pure adrenaline into the lineup. CJ Perez is that lightning bolt for Gilas Pilipinas. his ability to break down defenses off the dribble, finish acrobatically at the rim through contact, and turn defense into instant offense via steals and fast break layups is unmatched in the local talent pool. When the Gilas offense becomes stagnant, Perez is the master of the chaotic, unscripted play that breaks the rhythm of the opposing defense. He plays with a fearless, aggressive mentality that borders on reckless. But in the highly structured world of international basketball, you need that unpredictability. He is the ultimate wild card, capable of scoring 10 points in 2 minutes and completely flipping the momentum of a crucial qualifying game. In today's modern game, floor spacing is absolutely non-negotiable. If you cannot shoot the three ball consistently, international defenses will pack the paint, build a wall, and completely neutralize your dribble penetration and post-up game. This is where Calvin Oftana becomes a mandatory inclusion in the final 12. Oftana is arguably the most lethal, pure shooter in the country today. He possesses a lightning-fast release, deep range, and the confidence to take big shots in high-pressure situations. But calling him just a shooter does a disservice to his overall game. He has great size for a wing, rebounds effectively, and has improved his ability to put the ball on the floor and attack closeouts. When Brownlee or Thompson drive into the paint, knowing that Oftana is lurking on the wing or in the corner stretches the defense past its breaking point. He is the ultimate floor spacer, ensuring that the driving lanes remain open for our slashers. Looking towards the future and the evolution of the Gilas program, the inclusion of Kevin Kiambao is a strategic masterstroke. The UAAP MVP represents a new breed of Filipino basketball player, a versatile, highly skilled forward who can essentially play positions 3 through 5. Kiambao possesses an incredibly high basketball IQ, exceptional passing vision for a player's size, and a silky smooth shooting stroke. He can operate out of the high post, initiate the offense, and make reads that you typically only see from veteran point guards. His presence allows Coach Cohn to experiment with incredibly dynamic lineups. You can play him as a stretch for alongside a traditional center, or even use him as a small ball 5 to maximize speed and perimeter shooting. Kiambao is not just a prospect for the future. He is a player who contributes massively right now, providing a unique skill set that makes the Gilas offense exponentially more difficult to scout and defend. The narrative surrounding Kai Sotto is always filled with immense hope and agonizing scrutiny. At 7'3", he is the unicorn of Philippine basketball, possessing a combination of size, shooting, touch, and passing ability that we have quite literally never seen before. When healthy and engaged, Sotto changes the entire geometry for the basketball court. His sheer height alters shots at the rim, forces opposing drivers to reconsider their attacks, and provides a massive target for lob passes and entry feeds. He has shown flashes of brilliance in the B-League and in previous FIBA windows, proving that he can compete against high-level international big men. However, the key word is health. With reports of lingering back issues and recovery from injuries, his availability is always a subject of concern. But if Kai Sotto is even 80% healthy, he must be on this roster. He is the ceiling raiser. For the Philippines to truly break through and upset the global elite, we need a dominant, rim-protecting, floor-stretching center, and Sotto is the only player in the pool with the physical tools to fulfill that role. If Kai Sotto is the ceiling, A.J. Edu is a defensive foundation. The twin tower pairing of Sotto and Edu is a tantalizing prospect that has shown incredible potential in the past. While Sotto provides a length and offensive versatility, Edu is the rugged physical enforcer. He is a phenomenal post defender, possessing the strength to hold his ground against massive international centers and the lateral quickness to switch onto smaller forwards on the perimeter. He contests every shot, secures defensive rebounds with authority, and plays with quiet, intense ferocity. EDU's journey, overcoming horrific, back-to-back knee injuries to return to the national team, is a testament to his character and resilience. He is a defensive anchor that Gilas desperately needs, the player who will do the heavy lifting in the paint, block out the opponent's best rebounder, and secure the defensive glass to ignite the fast break. With the shifting dynamics of the front court and the retirement of longtime stalwarts, injecting fresh, physical talent into the paint is crucial. This is where Quentin Miller-Brown enters the conversation. As the program looks to solidify its interior presence, Miller-Brown offers a different flavor of big man. He is a bruiser, a highly physical player who relishes contact and is not afraid to mix it up in the paint. In FIBA competitions, the referees often allow a much more physical brand of basketball than what we see in local leagues. You need players who will not back down from a physical confrontation, who will set bone-crushing screens, and who will fight for every inch of positioning in the post. Millar Brown's ability to provide a sturdy, imposing presence down low gives Coach Cohn another vital rotational piece to throw at the imposing front lines of teams like New Zealand and Australia. Rounding out the final 12, the final spot often comes down to tactical flexibility and finding a player who can fill multiple roles seamlessly. Juan Gomez de Liano has consistently proven himself to be a highly effective, versatile playmaker on the international stage. He is a shifty, highly skilled guard who can operate as a primary ball handler, run the pick and roll with precision, and create his own shot when the shot clock is winding down. Furthermore, his international experience, having played in various overseas leagues, has matured his game significantly. He understands the pace and the defensive schemes of international basketball. In a long tournament or a grueling qualifying window, having a secondary playmaker off the bench who can steady the ship, orchestrate the offense, and hit timely perimeter shots is an absolute luxury. Gomez de Liano provides at depth, ensuring that the offense does not stagnate when the starting guards need a rest. When you assemble these 12 players, you are not just throwing together a collection of all-stars. You are building a highly specialized, tactically sound unit designed specifically to execute Tim Cohn's philosophy and counter the diverse styles of international competition. This roster possesses the crucial balance required to succeed. You have elite perimeter defense in Newsom and Ramos. You have world-class rebounding in Thompson and Fajardo. You have unmatched floor spacing with Oftana and Kiambao. You have the ultimate go-to-closer in Brownlee. And you have the towering rim protection of Sato and Edu. This composition is specifically engineered to address the monumental challenges that lie ahead. Let us look at the immediate horizon. The Gilas Pilipinas squad will be facing incredibly tough away games in the upcoming windows. Traveling to environments like New Zealand or Australia is a daunting task. You are dealing with hostile crowds, unfamiliar arenas, and, crucially, massive shifts in climate. Coach Cohn has explicitly pointed out the challenge of playing in the Southern Hemisphere's winter, dealing with colder gyms and different physical conditions. These external factors take a toll on a team's rhythm and physical readiness. That is exactly why continuity and having the specific Final 12 is so imperative. A team that knows each other intimately, that trusts each other implicitly, can weather these external storms much better than a disjointed group of individuals. Against a team like the New Zealand Tall Blacks, you are facing a squad that is fundamentally sound, incredibly physical, and relentless in their execution of half-court sets. They will punish any missed defensive rotation and dominate the glass if you do not box out with absolute commitment. To counter this, Gilas needs the size of Sato, Edu, and Fajardo to neutralize their interior presence, combined with the disciplined perimeter defense of Ramos and Newsom to disrupt their ball movement. On the other hand, when facing the Australian Boomers, you're going up against NBA-level athleticism, suffocating full-court pressure and a blistering pace. Against the Boomers, the ball-handling security of Thompson and Gomez de Liano and the ability of Perez and Brownlee to create offense in transition become the keys to survival. The beauty of this proposed Final 12 is its adaptability. If the game demands a slow, physical, half-court grind, Coach Cohn can deploy a massive lineup of Sato, Fajardo, Brownlee, Ramos, and Thompson. If the opponent goes small and tries to run Gilas off the floor, he can counter with a hyper-athletic, switch-everything lineup featuring Edu, Kiambao, Oftana, Perez, and Newsom. This tactical flexibility is the holy grail of international coaching, and this specific group of players provides the necessary tools to achieve it. Therefore, any rumors or directives from FIBA that threaten to force the replacement of these core players must be treated as a severe threat to the program's strategic foundation. The SBP management must fight tooth and nail, utilizing every legal and diplomatic avenue to ensure that eligibility issues are resolved and that the specific group is allowed to take the floor together. As we draw this exhaustive, deep dive analysis to a close, it is vital to step back and look at the bigger picture. The journey of Gilas Pilipinas is never a straight line. It is a roller coaster of towering highs and devastating lows, filled with bureaucratic hurdles, agonizing injuries, and moments of transcendent national pride. The news surrounding FIBA regulations and potential roster replacements is just another hurdle in a long history of obstacles that Philippine basketball has had to overcome. But if there's one thing that defines a Filipino athlete, and specifically the Gilas Pilipinas player, it is absolute, unyielding resilience. The road to the 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup is long, arduous, and unforgiving. The Asian qualifiers are a brutal gauntlet designed to expose any weakness in a team's armor. Every single game is a dogfight, but the program is currently in a state of highly promising stability. Under masterful guidance of Tim Cone, the team is no longer relying solely on raw emotion and isolation basketball. They are executing a sophisticated, team-oriented system that maximizes the unique talents of the Filipino player while masking our traditional disadvantages in sheer size. The final 12 we have outlined today, Brownlee, Ramos, Thompson, Fajardo, Newsom, Perez, Oftana, Quiambao, Sato, Edu, Milora Brown, and Gomez de Leano, represents the absolute pinnacle of current Philippine basketball talent, blended perfectly with tactical necessity. This group carries the weight of a nation. When they step onto hardwood, whether it's a familiar, deafening roar of the Mall of Asia arena or the freezing, hostile environment of an away game in Auckland or Melbourne, they know that millions of eyes are watching. They are playing for the jeepney driver listening on a crackling radio, for the overseas Filipino worker watching on a delayed stream halfway across the world, and for every young kid shooting hoops on a makeshift court dreaming of one day wearing that jersey. The concept of the sixth man, the unparalleled, passionate support of the Filipino fan base, is not a myth. It is a tangible force that has willed this team to victory time and time again. As fans, our job is not just to cheer when the three-pointers are falling, but to stand fiercely behind the program through the administrative battles, the tough losses, and the agonizing roster decisions. We must trust the process, trust the coaching staff, and pour our collective energy into supporting whoever ultimately steps onto the court to represent the flag. The drama surrounding FIBA replacements will eventually settle, the paperwork will be filed, and the final roster will be cemented. When that day comes, and the referee tosses the ball into the air for the opening tip, all the noise, all the rumors, and all the debates will fade away. All that will matter is the game, the pride, and the relentless pursuit of victory. Thank you for joining me on this incredibly deep, comprehensive journey into the heart of the Gilas Pilipinas roster situation. We have broken down the rules, analyzed the tactical matchups, and built the ultimate Final 12. But the beauty of basketball is that the debate never truly ends. I want to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with this Final 12? Who would you replace, and who is your ultimate starting five? Drop your exhaustive analysis in the comment section below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated on every single development regarding the national team, and share this video with every basketball fan you know. Until next time, keep the passion alive, keep supporting the national team, and Laban Pilipinas.